Carpet, 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 carpet. So, this is the first question and answer video I am doing for the Easy Stories in English Patreon. It's a new format, so we'll see how it goes. I only got one question this time, but that's okay. One question is better than zero questions. The question came from Pedro Petrucci, a long-time listener and a student of mine, a previous student of mine, who has actually lived in the UK for a few years now. Pedro asked, why do Brits love carpets so much? Why are there so many carpets in British houses? So I decided to dedicate an entire video to this question. I did a bit of research myself about why people have carpets, and I asked some friends, both people from the UK and from abroad, what their thoughts were about the British love of carpets. If you ask most British people this question, you'll probably get an answer like I got from my friends Gail and Connor. Gail said, do other countries not have carpets in their house? And Connor said, isn't that just a British thing? It's a bit like asking a fish, why are you always surrounded by water? The fish will probably respond, well, doesn't everyone live in water? And then you'll say, whoa, a talking fish! I should take you to the zoo so I can make some money. And then the fish will run away because it doesn't want to be exploited. Wow, that's an intelligent fish. So yes, we have a lot of carpets in our houses. But why? Let's look at the advantages and disadvantages. Advantage number 1. It's soft underfoot. In my family, we always took off our shoes indoors. Apparently this actually isn't common in the UK, which I think is a bit unhygienic. But if you do take off your shoes indoors, carpets feel really nice under your feet. And indeed, my friend Gail said, I like carpets because they're soft on the feet. And my friend Steve said, they are warmer and softer. I'm not sure where they came from. Overall, I like them. Makes a home cozy. I agree. Nice thick carpets really do make a home cozy. Reason number 2. Insulation. Insulation is the way you build a house so that it keeps warm air in and cold air out. The UK gets pretty cold in the winter, and a lot of our houses are old and are poorly insulated. So it's much easier to put in a new carpet to add insulation rather than redoing the walls and the beams. Reason number 3. Acoustic dampening. Acoustic dampening basically just means making it more quiet. At the beginning of the video, you saw all the carpets we have upstairs in our house. They are very thin carpets. And indeed, when you sit downstairs, like in the living room, where we have a nice thick carpet, you can hear people walking upstairs. And whenever I record a podcast, I always do it in this room because it has the best acoustics. Reason number 4. Style. Personally, I don't care that much. I don't think carpet is really beautiful or really ugly. I think tile and wood flooring can also look really great. But it is true that the traditional British style you will find in a lot of old houses goes really well with a nice decorated carpet. Reason number 5, it's easier to clean. When I lived in a flat in Bath, we had hardwood floors, and I was always shocked at just how quickly the dust piled up. You basically had to hoover every few days. But with a carpet, it hides the dust, so you don't have to hoover as often, and you don't have to mop the floors ever, unless you get a really bad stain. But we'll talk about that later. Reason number 6, it's safer for children. If children run and hit themselves on a carpet, they're not going to hurt themselves as much as if it was a wood or a tile floor. I found this reason while I was doing research, and honestly, I think it's a bit stupid. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. But I can see if you have lots of small children and you want a nice play area, carpet is probably going to be a much nicer material than wood or tile. Okay, and now on to the disadvantages. Number one, it's bad for ventilation. Carpets can hold onto dust and allergens, things that trigger allergies, which can be particularly bad for people with asthma, for example. Number two, it's difficult to deep clean. Deep cleaning is when you clean something really deeply. You clean it completely and thoroughly. I saw a video on TikTok of someone who had just moved to a new house and they didn't trust that the previous people washed the carpets properly. So they washed and hoovered all the carpets several times. Every time they did this, they had lots of dirty water at the end. In the comments, lots of people were saying, "Ugh, this is why carpets are disgusting. They're always dirty." But actually, some other people commented that whenever you wash a carpet, you're always going to see dirt, because when you wash a carpet, bits of the fibre, bits of the material in the carpet break down and it looks like dirt. So you could argue that carpets will never be fully cleaned, but to be honest, I think there's a big difference between something looking clean and actually being clean. If you hoover your carpets regularly and clean out any serious stains, it shouldn't be a problem. And on that note, disadvantage number 3 is that it's difficult to get stains out. One time when I was a kid, I got sick in the night. I ran to the bathroom to throw up, but I didn't get there in time, so I ended up throwing up on the carpet. I went back to bed. Well, first I told my parents, but then I went back to bed and I woke up a few hours later to find my mum scrubbing my sick off the carpet because it takes a long time to get sick out of a carpet. Usually, the main stain you're going to get on a carpet is wine, and wine can be really difficult to get out, especially if you have a white carpet. Blood is also difficult to get out, but hopefully you're not spilling lots of blood on the carpet. Are you? The only positive thing is, when you spill water on a carpet, it's really easy. You just wait for it to dry. But when you spill water on a wood floor, it goes everywhere and it takes ages to get it dry. Finally, disadvantage number 4 is wear and tear. Wear and tear is bits of small damage that accumulate over time and then become visible. The main way this happens with carpet is if you have heavy furniture pushing down on the carpet, especially if it's a thick carpet. This leaves dents in the carpet, which can look quite ugly, and then obviously if you move the furniture, it can be a problem. However, to be honest, how often do you move all of your heavy furniture? And also, if it's a good carpet, it can usually bounce back from the dents. Over time, the dents will gradually go back to normal. But do British people really choose carpets just for practical reasons? Or is it more closely linked to history and culture? Let's look through some of the comments I got from my friends to find out. My British friend John said, "I think it's historical. UK houses tended to be drafty. Carpets were able to reduce drafts and became a sign of affluence." Tyrant said, "Didn't realise this was a specifically British thing, but carpets are great. Makes it nicer to walk around barefoot in your house, makes rooms seem more welcoming. If you live in a very old house, it makes the footsteps quieter. No carpets makes it easier to clean, but does detract from the atmosphere, I think." Tim said, "I suspect that carpets became popular because we mostly live in poorly insulated houses in a cold, windy country. The carpet helps to stop the cold drafts coming up through the floor. Maybe it was also a status symbol, something that people aspired to be able to put in their own home. And then it just kind of became the norm to carpet every square inch of a house that isn't the kitchen, up to and including the toilets and bathrooms, which even as a middle-aged Brit is frankly incomprehensible to me. And yes, if you were paying attention earlier, you would have seen that our bathroom is carpeted. And yes, I hate it. My friend Han from Oregon, USA said, being from a country where wall-to-wall carpeting is definitely the norm, except for kitchen and bathroom, I found this not to be the case in Britain. I saw more hardwood floors, sometimes with rugs, than in the US. So maybe it's just a case of perception. I've never been to America, but I didn't think carpets were particularly popular there. When I think of American houses, I think of really big open houses with modern furniture, usually in California, because that's where most American TV shows are set, or at least a lot of them are. This actually reminds me of a discussion I had with some of my Slavic friends. Many Slavs who live in the UK, and actually just many foreigners who live in the UK, complain about the infamous British double taps. This is very common in old British houses and buildings where you have one hot tap and one cold tap instead of one combination tap. Actually, this is still very common in modern houses as well. A lot of people who move to the UK really hate this system because it's hard to get an even temperature. But one time I was in a pizzeria in Poland. I think it was maybe in Wrocław, and I was in the toilet and they too had the dreaded British double taps. So when I got home, I told my Slavic friends about this, and they didn't believe me. They just didn't think it was real. So I think often we have these ideas and perceptions in our heads, and maybe we're influenced by the media or just the kind of people we know, and that really affects how we judge these things. I mean, our house is pretty modern, and we don't have any double taps. Speaking of Poland, my friend Margot, who is Polish but has lived in the UK for many years, had a very interesting comment. When I first moved to the UK, I went to a local village pub. I remember the low lighting and wooden furniture, but the thing that really struck me was the carpet. I really remember well how it surprised me to see it on the floor, and I immediately thought, wow, that's just like being at home. Over the years, especially when I worked behind the bar, I witnessed how much time some Brits spend in the pub, which almost is a second home for some. So, in a way, I'm not surprised that it has carpet. Though also seeing how much gets dropped on it, I think of it now as being a bit gross. Still, I like it. And honestly, I don't go to the pub very much, so I never really thought about this. But it is weird how we tend to have carpets in pubs here. And honestly, they're often very sticky. You touch it and your hand sticks to it. God, there are even lots of nightclubs with carpets here. Maybe it is a problem. Finally, my Instagram mutual Lyra said, having lived in Germany for a few years, I'm not sure I'd ever have carpet again. It seems weird. So yes, love it or hate it, carpets are here to stay in the UK. Personally, I like them, and I will defend them against people who say they're horrible and unhygienic. When I lived in my flat in Bath with the hardwood floors, it was horrible waking up in the winter and stepping onto the cold floor. And just for that reason alone, I like carpets. Also, they're very nostalgic for me. As a child, we had this green carpet in the living room, and when you ran your hand over it, it changed colour. There were like two sides to it. So there was a lighter green side and a darker green side. And I loved drawing patterns in the carpets. There is actually a storm happening right now, which you can probably hear. So the next thing I wanted to say was, with climate change, things may change. We just had a big heat wave, and honestly, rooms can get pretty hot here because our houses are not designed for really hot weather. Although the room with the thickest carpet, this room, was actually the coolest. So I don't think carpets are necessarily warmer. It's a bit more complicated than that. But whatever happens, I think there will always be room for carpets in our homes and in our hearts. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. By the way, do you like my socks? Because I love them. This is a completely new style of video for me. I definitely won't be recording the next one on the floor. So let me know what you thought. Would you like me to continue with this style? I was thinking I could do a topic every month and just focus on that. But also, if people want, I can do questions and answers. I can do both, actually. I just didn't receive any other questions this time. If you want, I could focus on British culture specifically, or I could just talk about whatever topic you, and probably I, find interesting. So yeah, leave a comment on YouTube or Patreon and let me know what you think. Oh, carpets. You and I are going to be best friends forever. Bye.